Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be dry aging a whole ribeye. Today we're using the Umai dry bags. These are special bags or membranes that allow you to dry age at home. They let moisture escape from your rib roast without letting any bad bacteria in. So a huge thank you to Umai Dry for sending me these amazing bags, and you can find out more in the link in the description. So we're starting with the whole 13-pound USDA Choice rib roast. To start, we'll go ahead and open up our vacuum seal bag. We'll go ahead and transfer our ribeye roast to our Umai dry membrane bag. Here we have a bucket of room temperature water. We're going to be using the immersion method. This is a great way to seal your Umai dry bags if you don't have a vacuum sealer. I'm going to slowly dip it in the water, which will get all the air out of our bag. Now we'll go ahead and squeeze the remaining air out, and we'll go ahead and tie a zip tie around. We'll place it on a wire rack and into our refrigerator, and we'll dry age for 35 days. 35 days later. So this is looking absolutely amazing. Let's cut it out of the Umai dry bag. And as you can see, a beautiful pellicle has formed. I do want to point out that the bottom of the roast had a very minimal pellicle, almost none. So this shorter end right here is from the chuck section, from the shoulder of the cow. And this longer area is from the New York strip side, or the short loin. And this looks absolutely amazing. So without further ado, let's cut into this. I'm going to start with the chuck side and remove this really hard exterior. It can sometimes be difficult to get through the pellicle, so a sharp knife is ideal. To reveal a beautifully dry-aged steak. Let's just take some time to appreciate this amazing dry-aged steak. Now let's cut into it. I'm going to start by slicing a nice and thick steak. Cutting through the pellicle. And real quickly, I want to talk about why we dry age. I dry age for two main reasons. One, for a more tender steak, and to get that dry age flavor. And I will keep cutting a few more beautiful steaks. Now that we got our beautiful steak, we'll go ahead and start slicing away the pellicle, or the outer hardened exterior. You want to cut off your pellicle while still preserving as much meat as possible. As you can see, the steak on the right has a bigger spinalis or ribeye cap, and the one on the left almost doesn't have a spinalis or ribeye cap. This is because this steak right here comes from the chuck or the shoulder, and this steak right here comes from the short loin, almost the New York strip. So when I choose my steaks, I prefer to buy this one right here that has a bigger cap, just because the ribeye cap has an amazing flavor and it's super tender. This right here is basically an extension of the New York strip. We'll set this one off aside, and I'm going to dry brine my steak by seasoning with salt. And we'll let this sit on a wire rack for about an hour to overnight. Dry brining ensures that your steak is seasoned all the way through, and that the outermost part of the steak is nice and dry. That way you get a nice and strong sear. After our dry brine, we'll add some pepper. Now we'll get this to the pan. Now in a smoking hot pan, go ahead and lay your steak down. Now after a good sear, I'm going to go ahead and flip. Now I'm going to quickly render out the fat. I'm going to lower the heat and add some crushed garlic and some butter. We'll tilt back the pan and baste by spooning over that butter onto our steak. This will give our steak a wonderful flavor. Now once our steak is cooked to our desired temperature, I'm aiming for medium rare. I'm going to go ahead and take our steak out and place it on a wire rack. And we'll rest it for half the time we cooked it. But let me just say, this looks absolutely delicious, and I can't wait to try it. Those dry age aromas are super noticeable, and the crust is just absolutely insane on this. After a good rest, I'll go ahead and reawaken my crust. Now I'll lay it on my cutting board. Let's just take some time to appreciate that amazing sear. This smells absolutely amazing. Now let's slice into it. I'm gonna start by cutting this fat piece off. Now I'm just gonna slice into beautiful steak slices. And look at that gorgeous medium rare. And let me tell you, this is cutting like absolute butter. Now we'll cut the cap. This is easily my favorite part of the steak. The cap is gonna have a stronger dry aged taste just because it's exposed to the outermost part. That just pulls apart and is super tender. So let's try it out. Cheers. Wow, this was absolutely delicious. It had a strong crust and an amazing dry aged flavor. It was super tender, super juicy steak. This is my type of steak. The way I would describe the flavor of dry aged steaks is a little bit more beefy. When it's aged for a longer period of time, it almost reminds me of blue cheese. Since we dry aged this steak for 35 days, it has a more subtle dry aged flavor, but it's still absolutely delicious. And for me, anywhere from 35 to 45 days is the perfect sweet spot. I'm definitely gonna be dry aging more, so comment down below what I should dry age. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on those post bell notifications. And thank you all so much for watching.